created and funded and trained these groups. Barack Obama is saying that this is a fantasy, that if they armed these people, that it would have stopped what's going on in Iraq. He had an interview this weekend with the New York Times, and he said, in Syria, Obama said the idea that arming rebels would have made a difference has, quote, always been a fantasy. Now, they see this as a rebuke to Hillary Clinton, who had just previously given an interview about her memoir, saying that she thought that our failure to build a strong rebel force against the Assad regime left a big vacuum where the jihadists have now filled. In other words, they're both pretending that this never happened, while she is politically sucking up to the neocons, saying that she likes George Bush, saying that, well, we really should have done something to take down the Syrian regime, when actuality, they really did. Now, stay with us right after the break. We've got some interesting news on the technology front, as well as what's with the Ebola vaccine. This is a case of a genetically modified vaccine coming from DARPA. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox Special at InfoWarsLife.com.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. And now you can protect yourself from corrupt cops with the InfoWars dash cam. It's your car's black box that records all that the driver sees and hears. And introducing the Block It Pocket. It renders your phone undetectable while protecting your private data and your health. Or take back your privacy and protect your personal information by getting your very own Detractor cell phone pouch. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
Welcome back. Now, this last week we had conferences in Las Vegas that were kind of on the same idea. We had Black Hat and DEF CON, yet very different cultures. Of course, they're concerned about hacking and cyber vulnerabilities. As this article from VentureBeat points out, the clash of cultures is very distinct at these two conferences. They said although there are scores of security professionals, hackers, federal agents, and media in Las Vegas, that there are two extremes that kind of break into these two camps. And as they pointed out, the federal agents and major corporations like to go to Black Hat, while Mohawk-styled defiant hackers and Electronic Frontier Foundation lawyers would go to DEF CON. Now, that's where we find John McAfee. They say there's always a more dramatic moment at DEF CON, like when McAfee Associates antivirus founder John McAfee showed up to deliver a surprise talk about a perhaps paranoid distrust of government and of privacy invaders. Yeah, we're paranoid if we don't trust government. And the Wall Street Journal reports what John McAfee had to say. Basically, don't use smartphones is his advice. It says on the subjects of privacy and security, McAfee said smartphones are spying on American consumers who don't bother to read the user agreements. He said the most promising privacy thing is stupid phones. I'm dumping all of my smartphones. Well, if we look at vehicles, this is where it's going. It's so 2007 to hack a phone. Actually, where it's at now is hacking your refrigerator and soon to be your car, because they're going to have all of these things connected together into the Internet of Things. Now, Kurzweil is celebrating the idea that we're only 6 years away from computer-driven cars. Some people have concerns about some of those things. Maybe you should be concerned about it. They're pointing out you'll be able to buy a car that can drive itself under most conditions with an option for override by a human driver by 2020. That's just 6 years away. That was the median estimate in a survey of 217 attendees of the 2014 Automated Vehicles Symposium. Now, what they're saying is there's two camps here. One camp is saying that they're thinking that we're going to move into this with partial automation. And that's really the camp that most of the automobile manufacturers are in, where we have systems that are gradually taking over control from the driver, starting with things like, anti-lock brakes that have been around forever, but moving into much more sophisticated devices along that line. The other camp is the fully automated camp. That would be people like Google, of course. As one of the human factors engineers said, I strongly favor full automation. Yet he said, although he favored full automation, he was worried that highly automated vehicles might find themselves unable to handle some conditions and give the human driver an inadequate amount of time to safely take over. In other words, if you're put into a car that has no steering wheel, that has no brakes, and you get a bug, what happens to you? We should all be concerned about that. We're told that these computer-driven cars are going to be so much safer than human drivers, yet they're being operated by human programmers. And even worse than that, we see some who are talking about, there's another debate about whether or not they're going to have vehicle-to-vehicle communication. That will be where the hackers come in. And of course, the government is going to be controlling your car the entire time, as well as monitoring what you're doing. Now, one of the groups of people that are very concerned about hackers, of course, is Tesla, and they were at the Black Hat conference this last week. They're actually offering a bounty for people to show vulnerabilities. They asked, what is Elon Musk's Tesla Motors doing at a hacker conference? And the person from Tesla said, well, it's a supercar that's connected to the internet. Use your imagination. Exactly. A lot can go wrong. Now, it was just last week at the Black Hat conference that the keynote address was from the guy who is the head of security at InQtel. That's the CIA's own venture capital company. He was talking about how they needed to use the same type of protocol for computer viruses that they use for actual viruses. Well, the protocol that we're using for actual viruses isn't working out all that well. You're going to hear a lot about this new drug, ZMapp, and there was several stories about it today and where it's coming from. But before we get to that, think about the precautions that they took in country. Now, Popular Science reports that they had them heavily dressed in gowns and an apron and 3 pairs of gloves, a hood covering their hair, and a green plastic protective eyewear. They also say that in the wash station, workers are sprayed with a chlorine solution meant to decontaminate people entering and leaving the isolation ward. Nevertheless, they still got it. So why would we violate our precautions, our quarantine precautions, and bring them into the United States? Well, I think it has a lot to do with this new treatment and who's behind the treatment. Now, it's being sold on Popular Mechanics and on Forbes as something that is coming to us through tobacco. The headlines from Forbes says Ebola's secret serum, a small biopharma, the Army, and big tobacco. A very interesting story. They start talking about things that you probably haven't heard about, things like plantibodies and farming. That would be farming with a PH, as in pharmaceuticals. What they are doing is creating a different kind of immunity. As you can see in that picture there, they've got a plant. That is where they are cloning the antibodies. And what they don't want to talk about is the fact that it's actually GMO. So they'll talk about tobacco because tobacco has been the plant that they have done the most genetic modification experiments on it. The way this works is very different from a typical vaccine. In a typical vaccine, they inject you with a weak or dead version of the virus in theory, and your body produces antibodies. With this, they produce the antibodies in a mouse that has been given this, then genetically modify those antibodies, put them in a genetically modified plant, and then inject them into your body. That's called passive immunity because you're not creating the antibodies with your body. They're actually being injected into you with a vaccine. Look at who is behind this, though. It's being funded. These new corporations that are putting this together have been funded with venture capital from DARPA, from the Army, from the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases, working on this in a biosafety level 4 facility in Frederick, Maryland. Now, first of all, the bio level 4, as Alex Jones has pointed out, is what you would want to have with something as dangerous as Ebola. And yet, when they brought this doctor back, they put him in a bio level 2 facility. The other thing they don't mention is that Frederick, Maryland, is the home of Fort Detrick. This is where they do the nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare experiments, where they've been doing them since the end of World War II, when they brought over the Nazi scientists as part of Operation Paperclip. You can read a very detailed account of that in A Terrible Mistake, the story of Frank Olson. He was one of the scientists there, and he realized what was happening there along with the CIA's LSD experiments, a very dark place that was created in the aftermath of World War II with Nazi scientists, with Japanese scientists who came over and continued their horrific experiments on humans. And one final thing to think about when you see all of the signs prompting you to get a flu vaccine. They ask, why plant bodies? And they talk about the specific strain of tobacco that they're using for these genetically modified plant bodies. They say this same tobacco species is the one that is used for development of a pandemic influenza virus. There we go. So keep that in mind as they try to sell you on influenza vaccines. Keep that in mind if they try to mandate the Ebola vaccine. Remember the GMO sources of this and remember the people who are behind it. Now, of course, as a new school year is coming, they're going to be selling you on vaccines. They're going to be telling you what to eat. It's a whole new round of brainwashing, and Alex Jones is going to be joining us after the break. If you're not a supporter of Prison Planet TV, please consider getting a subscription. You can share that with up to 11 other people. 12 of you can watch it simultaneously. That's the live news that we put out every night, as well as all of Alex Jones's documentaries. Stay with us right after the break. We've got that special report from Alex Jones.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive INFOWARS Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Secure your fluoride shield at InfoWarsLife.com today.
So what caused the 12-year-old's life to be cut so tragically short? A few hours before she died, Meredith was complaining of a sore throat. Her mom took her to the doctor. While there, the 12-year-old also got the first round of the HPV vaccine.
When I came home, she had just thrown up and was non-responsive on my living room floor. I performed CPR, and she was taken to Waukesha Memorial, where she died.
We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control, no dark sarcasm in the classrooms. Teacher, leave them kids alone. Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. The eugenicists have had control of Western education since the 1850s, when the British royal family, controlling the biggest and richest empire in history, got fully behind social engineering. Now, this is mainline history, ladies and gentlemen, and all of you out there ignore this information at your peril. This little girl in Wisconsin that died hours after getting the Gardasil HPV shot is one of hundreds that we know of that have died since the trials began 8 years ago and since government lied and said it was mandatory. It's also on record attacking the ovaries, causing autoimmune disorders. It's only in the cases where they have a bigger reaction that they die. And they've known this all along.